Looking at this picture of a group of elephants, we can see them all very calm, very peaceful, very close and tender. And we can look at the image or just keep it strongly in our minds. It's beautiful to see their affection and love. We can let these elephants be our teachers and let them help us connect with these beautiful feelings of love, affection, and tenderness inside ourselves. All we have to do is look and allow ourselves to feel. The more we focus on these feelings, the stronger they become in us, and the more we can use them to enjoy life, to rise through the tough times, and also heal any parts of us that might need our help and care. So, let's let the elephants be our teachers, and let them touch the seed of tenderness within us. We can see the mother elephant so gentle with her baby, and the others there behind, protective, caring, and gentle too. And we can let ourselves really feel all that tenderness. We can imagine ourselves being accepted by the herd and standing quietly amongst them, leaning on their strong bodies and literally absorbing their tenderness and care. We might sway with them and let ourselves relax and be supported by them, and let ourselves just let go and be. And now we can let these lovely feelings of tenderness and acceptance just flow within us, and we can touch every cell in our bodies with tenderness and care. We can start at our feet and envelop them with a gentle wave of tenderness. And we can let this tenderness encircle our legs, our knees, our thighs, and our hips. We can soothe our stomachs, our backs, and our hearts with our tenderness, our shoulders and arms, and we can be very tender towards our hands. And now, just as we can imagine the elephants moving softly and tenderly, let's imagine us using our bodies in a tender way. Maybe just picking up a cup tenderly. We can apply tenderness in many small areas of our lives, making the small movements richer and our tenderness much stronger. But for now, we can just breathe and relax and let ourselves know ourselves as tender towards all our body. Tender, tender, tender. And we can enjoy this feeling and let it give energy to any parts of our bodies that need extra help. We can let all our muscles breathe in tenderness, and all our bones breathe in tenderness. Our leg bones, our arm bones, our spines, our necks, our jaws, and our heads. We can let all of them breathe in tenderness. And we can relax all our internal organs and let them be bathed in our tenderness and care. How good it is to care for our bodies. And in the same way, we can bathe our thoughts and feelings in a gentle bath of love and acceptance. We can see ourselves as tiny children, really see ourselves and notice, are we babies or toddlers or young children at school? Whatever our child image is, we can really notice it with tenderness and care. And we can give this child the love and attention it needs. Maybe it just needs to be held. Maybe it needs to be watched or listened to. Maybe it wants us to play with it. Whatever this child needs, we can lovingly give it. Let's take some time to do that now and just be with the little children inside ourselves. Now, let's see ourselves as teenagers, and again, really see ourselves, what we look like, what we thought about ourselves, what we were doing, and our hopes and dreams too. Let's spend some time with that teenage part of ourselves, loving it completely and understanding it completely. And finally, us now. Let's give some tenderness and care to ourselves. Many of us have an inner voice that is very harsh and not very life-affirming. We scold ourselves for making mistakes, or we tell ourselves we're not good enough because we're not successful enough, or we're overweight or underweight, or we lack confidence. Sometimes we give ourselves a hard time over things that happened in the long ago past. These habitual ways of speaking to ourselves can be very strong, and often they're transmitted to us through many generations in a family. Our great-grandparents may have had a tragedy that caused them to become cold and stern. This then affected our grandparents, and then our parents, and finally us. This is not a time for blame. It's just helpful to understand how deep these patterns can go, and the need to be very patient, very kind, and very consistent with ourselves. It may take many, many doses of tender care to make a change in these patterns. When we forget and are harsh with ourselves again, it may be tempting to give up or to feel that the task is impossible. But love and tenderness are always there inside us, and all that is necessary is to find them again, and we know how to do this. It may seem simplistic, but we can remind ourselves of love and tenderness just by looking at that image of the elephants. We can let ourselves resonate to the feelings that are touched when we see that picture, and we can let them go strong in us again. So, let's give some love and care to ourselves now, and spend some time with any parts of us that may be harsh or critical. Let's accept those parts as they are right now, and not judge them. Let's just love them and pay attention to how they are feeling. Maybe they're in pain. Maybe they're upset. Maybe those parts feel out of control. Instead of being harsh back with them, let's just love them as we would a little child, tenderly and with complete acceptance. Let's let these parts know we're going to do the best we can to look after them, and they're not alone anymore. Let's be kind to ourselves and love ourselves just as we are now, knowing we don't have to be perfect, and we can love ourselves in all our humanity right now. How beautiful it is to connect with this tender, healing part of ourselves. The more we connect with it, the stronger our tenderness becomes, and the more open we feel to all of life and how wonderful it is to be alive. Let's be thankful to the elephants for showing us their tenderness. And if we want to, we can become more and more tender in our own lives until finally we just are tender. We can practice informally just by consciously doing things in a tender way. For example, we can start out the day by brushing our teeth tenderly and looking at ourselves in the mirror with tenderness. We can tenderly wash our faces and fold our towels in a tender way. Starting the day like this is nourishing and puts us in a kindly state of mind. There are many moments throughout the day when we can practice informally, from opening a door to typing out a message. And practicing like this really helps us form the habit of being tender instead of harsh or impatient. If we want to, we can also choose a time of day to consciously practice, such as in the mornings while getting up, or maybe while commuting home from work. Practicing actively like this also enriches our lives and helps us get more out of the little moments in the day. We can also practice in a more formal and quiet way by choosing a time or times in the day to spend with the feeling of being tender, letting it wash over our bodies and our minds. We can start out with just 2 or 3 minutes a day, sitting or quietly lying down, whatever feels comfortable. The length of time isn't so important as deciding to put some energy into ourselves, and we can gradually lengthen the time if we want to. It doesn't matter when, but it can help to decide on a time when we're going to meditate on tenderness and strengthen it within us. Before breakfast, after work, at lunchtime, whatever is most convenient is a good time. Though in bed can be difficult because we may often just drift into sleep. So, sitting or lying at our chosen time, let's be tender towards ourselves. We can remember the image of the elephants, or actually look at it to wake up the feeling of tenderness. Or we can use another image. But after some practice, we'll be able to just generate the feeling by deciding we want to feel it. Once it's there, we can send it through all our bodies, from our heads to our feet, and we can give any parts that need it even more tenderness and care. And we can commit to giving those parts the things they need: water, nutrition, rest, exercise, or even medical examination or treatment. We can look tenderly into the parts of ourselves that hurt and tenderly look after them, giving them whatever they need to be well. In the same way, we can turn our attention inwards and let our tenderness touch our little children, our teenage selves, and our adult selves now. Our hopes and fears, our worries and regrets, whatever comes up, we can be present to in a tender way, treating all our thoughts with tenderness and care. If we keep on practicing, actively or quietly, eventually our tenderness will just be there as our second nature, available to us when we need it, but also just there within us to enjoy, radiating out from us, nourishing ourselves and others. Let's be thankful to the elephants for showing us their beautiful tenderness, and we can learn from them by taking it in and making it part of ourselves.